We're so pleased to have the opportunity to speak with the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, as he seeks to become the leader of the free world again in 2024. President Trump, it is so great being with you. I'm so glad to have you back in Michigan.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and you interviewed me many, many years ago, and that was quite something I remember.
Yeah, in fact, you had the Trump limousine you had done with Cadillac way back when, and it was a breakthrough vehicle at the time, $80,000, which was astronomical back then.
It was great. We had a great relationship.
Well, you're here in Michigan, and obviously you just announced re-election. Obviously, you're here early on after your re-election announcement, so Michigan is pretty important to you. Many of your interviews have gone down the path of the legal lawsuits and everything else. Yeah. I think what people really want to know about is just hear a little bit from you in these next couple minutes about some issues here. So I'd like to ask you about issues that matter to Michiganders.
Sure, I like that.
Okay, so let's just start with this. Despite the fact that Democrats control the legislature and the governor's mansion, you enjoy a lot of support here in Michigan. Why do you think that is about your message that resonates here in Michigan?
Because we really had a fantastic 4 years. We had the greatest economy ever. I fought with a lot of people to keep the cars coming out of Michigan, not out of Mexico and China and other places, and we were unbelievably successful like nobody's ever been. I was Man of the Year 12 years ago, as you know. Now they're doing it again, but 12 years ago I said, why are you allowing this to happen to your state? And we stopped it. So between the jobs and the border, which was the strongest, between the fact that we have the greatest economy in history, and so many other things, Michigan likes me and I like Michigan.
Speaking of the auto industry, I sat down earlier this week with Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm in an event before CEOs from across the state. She was very effusive about electric vehicles. The Biden administration is trying to have 50% of all vehicles by 2030 be EVs. In a second Trump administration, would you share that same goal or something similar? And if not, why not?
Well, first of all, it's very bad for Michigan. It's going to hurt Michigan very, very badly. It's good for China, not for Michigan. And I'm fine with electric if people want to buy it. But if they want to buy combustion, if they want to do other kinds of things other than electric, by that time there might be a lot of other things that are a lot better than electric. I want them to have it. So no, I'm totally against it. I think it's terrible. I think it's very, very bad for your state, and I think it's bad for our country. If they want an electric, they can have an electric, but they have to have other choices too. And it really does affect Michigan very, very badly. These cars are mostly made in China. What are they doing? And the batteries are made in China because they have the minerals, they have the material, they have everything that you need. We don't in this country.
And they're also trying to bring more of that work here. Michigan's obtained some battery making and whatever. But let's continue on this economy conversation for a second. This is a complicated economy. The job numbers are strong. You fly private, so you don't have to worry about buying a ticket on a plane. But let me tell you, seats are scarce. I mean, everybody's flying. Restaurants are packed up. It's hard to get reservations. And all these other hotels and things are sold, and I'm sure your resort as well is. When it comes to companies are still laying off employees by droves. Every other day there's another big announcement. But folks are spending money. So what do you make of this economy?
Well, it's a fake economy. I mean, if you take a look at the people that aren't looking for jobs, and therefore they take them off the list. But we're doing very poorly as an economy, and everybody realizes that inflation is eating people alive. It's eating away at their salary at a level that nobody's ever seen before. We have massive inflation, much, much worse than you even read about and hear about. And it's going to get worse yet because gasoline and oil and everything else, gas, is going through the roof. When you take a look at what's happening with our liquid gold, I call it liquid gold, we have it right under our feet. It's impossible to take it. We can't do it. So we have an economy that all you have to do is take a look at the polls. 88% of the people feel the economy is terrible. And we do have a terrible economy. We have a lot of people that aren't looking for jobs right now, and they consider them as essentially having jobs. It's not a fair barometer. The economy is doing badly, and I think the nation is doing very, very badly. When you look at what happened with Afghanistan, the greatest embarrassment in history, and all of the other things that have taken place, our country is down. We have a failing nation. We have an open border. We have bad elections. We have a failing nation.
Let me ask you about something else. The anniversary yesterday, the 1 year of Roe v. Wade being overturned. You appointed conservative judges around the country, 3 to the Supreme Court. You consider that one of your highest achievements during your first term. Again, when you look at the idea of abortion, you said yesterday that you support the idea of national abortion restrictions. My question to you on it is this. All you need to do is look at the 2020 midterm elections and how Republicans fared in states like Michigan where there were abortion issues on the ballot. Do you feel comfortable or have any concerns about having this be another issue again in 2024 for the Republicans?
Well, the Republicans have to speak about it correctly. The radicals are the Democrats, where you can have an abortion in the 9th month and the 8th month. You can even have the baby terminated, as they say, or killed after the baby is born. These are radical ideas. These are horrible ideas. And what I was able to do by killing Roe v. Wade, which they've been trying to do for the last 50 years, more than that, but 50 years, what we did is we gave the pro-lifers a right to negotiate, a great power to negotiate, and something very good is going to happen. It brought it back into the states. That was a big thing, even from a legal standpoint, and something very good is going to happen. But the Republicans have to speak about it. I happen to be for the exceptions, and I think the exceptions are very important, but some people aren't. But what happened with Roe v. Wade is an incredible thing for our country, and now something can be so positive, because look at what's going on. Look at the way our country's been torn apart over this issue. And now people that are pro-life have a tremendous power of negotiation, and they'll be able to do that because we were able to terminate Roe v. Wade, and it'll all work out very well.
I read recently, and I don't know if you believe everything you read, that you might skip the first Republican debate in August because you're so far ahead in the polls. Now, you have to know without being there that the candidates, led by Chris Christie, of course, they're going to have a field day banging on you like a piñata at a birthday party if you are not there. If you don't participate in that first debate and your lead starts to shrink at all, will you then change your mind and get involved in the others?
Well, right now I'm leading by 45 points, and I'm leading Biden by 10 or 11 points, which is considered a tremendous amount. And it would seem, Ronald Reagan didn't debate when he had a big lead, and many other politicians didn't debate when they have big leads, and they didn't have a big lead like I have. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I haven't totally made up my mind on that, but I have a feeling that, why debate when somebody's at a 0? One had a 0 and an arrow pointing left. That means less than nothing. So you have to explain that one to me. But they have 0s and 1% and 2%. And, why should you be debating if you're 50 points and 60 points above them?
Mm-hmm. When it comes to stunning developments in Russia over the weekend, over this past weekend and things as they're going there, and the impact on the Putin regime, are you surprised by that?
Well, it looks like he put out that fire. That's one of many fires. It's a shame that this took place. It would have never, ever happened. This would have never happened if the election weren't rigged, and if we were president, if I was president. This would have never happened. Putin knew he couldn't do it. What he did with Ukraine, he would have never done. And by the way, China wouldn't be talking about Taiwan right now either. I can tell you that. China wouldn't be talking about Taiwan. But when you take a look at it, if we had a president, a certain type of president like me, this would have never happened. All of those people that have been killed, that are dead right now, would be alive. The cities wouldn't be knocked down to the ground. Nothing would have happened.
And the last question here, and the last, I'm sorry?
Last question.
Okay. This is your third time running for office, for president. How does this time compare to your first time?
Well, you had 2016, you had 2020. I got millions and millions more votes the second time, which is very unusual for a president. Usually they get less votes, but I did actually much better the second time, and I say the election was rigged, and a lot of people say that. But this is very exciting. I've never seen love like is in the streets. Just coming over here today, the signs all over, thousands and thousands of people. And this is quite a bit before. It's happening fast, 6 months, 7 months now. We're going to have the primaries starting, but people are campaigning. It's early. I've never seen anything like the love and devotion. They want our country back. Our country it's a failing nation. We are a failing nation, and they want our country back.
This truly is my final question. We started off talking about the Trump limousine. I know you like to collect things. Do you still have a Trump limousine?
Well, I don't ride in a limousine anymore. I ride in a very nice Chevrolet that happens to have very thick windows and lots of steel on it. So I haven't ridden in that kind of a car for a while, but we do have Chevrolets, and they're very strong.
Mary Barra is very happy right now, the CEO of General Motors.
And she's a good woman, too, by the way.
President Trump, thank you so much for being gracious with your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you very much.